Today's episode is extra special because I'm joined by someone who played a very significant role in my journey to become a TEDx speaker, Tara LaFon Gooch. This episode is dedicated to helping you bring your own beautiful idea to the stage. I'll be sharing pieces of my own TEDx journey. So whether you are a thought leader in the making or simply curious about what it takes to get your idea heard, today's conversation will give you both the inspiration and the practical tools to take that next step. Welcome to Success Reimagined. I am Dr. Amna Shabbir, your host on this journey to thrive at the intersection of ambition and wellness. In every episode, I'll help you challenge outdated definitions of success, discover practical tools and strategies for growth without compromising your well-being. I am so glad you've joined me. Let's reimagine what's possible together. Tara is an international TEDx speaker, best-selling author, confidence expert who has coached countless leaders and high achievers to bring their ideas to life on the red dot. She's also the creator of the GRASP method, a framework built on gratitude, responsibility, action, sight, and purpose. More importantly for me, Tara was my TEDx coach. She helped me guide through the incredibly humbling and inspiring process of preparing my own talk. Along the way, I'll be sharing pieces of my own TEDx journey because just like in my work with high achievers, I've learned that standing on a TEDx stage is as much about managing self-doubt as it is about amplifying your voice. Today's conversation will give you both the inspiration and the practical tools to take that next step. Welcome, Tara.
Hey, welcome. Thank you, Amna. Thank you for having me today.
Before we dive in, I want to start by going back to when I first encountered your work. And Tara, I first read your book, Grasp Confidence, and then we met for lunch. I was so impressed by your energy, your journey, and it was clear to me that you had a very powerful story to share. Can you tell us your why behind stepping onto the red dot in the first place?
Well, I was the youngest child of five, never really felt like I had a voice growing up. When I was in school and the teacher would call on me, I would literally cry. Sometimes I would run to the bathroom, right? And it really held me back in life. I was terrified to speak in publicly. Even doing something like a podcast 10 years ago would have been a real feat for me. I don't think I would have been able to do it. So my why behind this was it was my biggest fear. And there was a point when I recently became an entrepreneur and decided if nothing changes, nothing changes. And that's a sentence that I say to myself every single day. It's my guiding light, if you will, that keeps me from being stagnant. So it was kind of an interesting story, but I had my first keynote speech. I was shortlisted. Actually, I wasn't even on a list. I was never on a list, right? But my friend who was helping organize the event said, "Hey, I know that you want to be a speaker. You should do this. 3 days later, you need to drive here and do it." Okay, so I did it. That really helped me understand that there's actually nothing to be afraid of. And if we face our biggest fear, we see actually how small it really is. 6 months after that, I got accepted on an international TEDx stage. Incredible. I was not expecting that. But there was something, and I call it in my first book, a spark. A spark can create a wildfire. A spark is nothing to be messed with. It sounds small. It sounds almost insignificant. But when given the right conditions or the right mindset or the right opportunities, the right surroundings, the right people, a spark can become a wildfire for change and transformation for somebody. So my journey to the red dot was a long one coming. It started out with a tremendous fear of public speaking and just ended up with me saying yes to myself and no to fear.
That is so powerful. And I have been in the audience also witnessing that from the other side, right? When we connected, you were already many steps ahead. But for me, when I saw you go through this journey in real time in front of my eyes, I felt that it made it a bit tangible for me. This idea, this very nebulous idea that I have something to say, similarly, when I was hardcore in practicing medicine, And going through medical education, I completely became quiet and silent. And now this period of my life is what I call the unsilencing, if you will. So I felt so aligned as I looked at you walk many steps ahead, but you're a real human. I had lunch with you. So that made it a bit more tangible.
That's right. I love that. And you always pay for lunch. And one day I'll get you in my neck of the woods so I can pay for your lunch, right?
We'll settle
Um,
it offline.
we'll settle it. But it's true. I think so many people think and believe that TEDx is for other people, that success is for other people, that writing a book is for other people, that achieving what they think is a dream is an intangible reality that should stay a dream. And the fact of the matter is, just like how you expressed it, I didn't realize that I could become an author until I started connecting with other authors. And I started to realize they're no different than I am. They're no smarter than I am. They're no more special than I am. They don't have any other qualities that I don't seem to have. So if they can do it, I surely should be able to figure this out. And the exact same with you. I was a TEDx speaker. That was your goal. You meeting me made you realize that if I could do it, surely you could do it. And that's the power of this. And it really is a tangible thing that any of us can do if you're a subject matter expert, if you have a message, if you want to transform lives. Then you should be a TEDx speaker and you can be a TEDx speaker. And really, the only thing holding any of us back is our mindset of making sure that we understand that that is actually a reality that we could have.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And you actually said that to me. If I can do it, so can you. You said that to me. So I remember that very clearly. A book that's coming to my mind as we talk about ideas is this. It's a children's book, What to Do with an Idea. And if anyone has not read that, I highly encourage reading it because a lot of time we have that fire, we have the idea, the spark, as you mentioned, but we tend to ignore it. And so as now moving a little bit forward, my next question sort of circles an experience that we had. It was our first session working together formally. And I remember blurting out to you, but I'm not Brene Brown. I'm going to be talking about perfectionism. And that was the first thing I said. And that really summed up the conflict I was wrestling with. I mean, I had done my work and I was still really going deep into understanding perfectionism, had all my lived experiences, but you never doubted me. And imposterism was there, but you told me to write this single sentence. It's still right in front of me as we are recording today. And I wrote this on a sticky in October 2024. You told me to write because it's my story. And that became an anchor for me. For the viewers that are going to see this video, I'll share it sticky with you. I wrote this
Wow.
at that time and I've carried it with me because it's my story. So my question is, what would you say to someone who feels they have something to share, but like I did, they're not sure if they belong on that stage?
Nobody has your background. Nobody has your story. Nobody has lived your exact lived experiences. And that's what makes you special. There's going to be plenty of people that have ideas. There's plenty of people that talk about confidence. There's plenty of people that talk about TEDx. There's plenty of people that have talked about things that I talk about or that you talk about. But your lived experience is what makes it unique. And it truly is that snowflake analogy, right? That each one of us is like a snowflake. We're completely different. And, you mentioning, I'm not like Brene Brown, I'm not like these other experts. My thought is always, yet. You're not there today, but with some persistence, with some dedication, with consistency, it's just a matter of yet until it becomes a reality. And you build on this, right? It's nothing that happens overnight. You don't go from, I want to do this to TEDx speaker the next day. And this is why it's not for everybody because you have to be consistent, right? But if you're consistent and you don't give up and you believe in your message, I think it really comes from a foundational level of purpose. You have to have a purpose that if I don't deliver this message that somebody right now needs and is asking for, then I haven't fulfilled my duty. And you really have to look at it like that. And if you look at it like that every single day, it's going to cause you to show up. It's going to cause you to get out of your comfort zone. It's going to increase your confidence. It's going to give you fuel to your fire. And it's going to make you speak to that person that only you can talk to because only you have lived experience. I don't care what Brene Brown's doing. I care about what I'm doing and how I can help others through my story, just the same as you.
My answer to that and response to that is you also then later made me write this. I belong here. Yeah, I got all of these right line up next to me. And as you said that, you have to have a very deep sense of purpose. And so in a following session, I ended up writing this, which reads, "This matters." And so my conclusion after going through this journey where self-doubt it was really, really big. I mean, I've had it at many times in my life, but it was a completely different flavor of self-doubt when it came to the TEDx stage. I wrote after our conversations and you giving me always this wonderful, wise, grounding advice was this matters and I matter. And so the culmination of that sentence, those two phrases, really was what helped me. And I do believe genuinely this was such a humbling process for me. This was not about me. This was about the message that I wanted to share. And if there was an element that was really anchored, maybe in the start, I'm a human being, where I was leaning more towards it being Amna, I think it was absolutely erased by the end of it. I don't think I know that for sure. I think it was an extremely humbling process. And my next transition question to you is, as I moved through this process, I realized it wasn't just about crafting a talk. It was about unlearning so many assumptions that I had about this TEDx process, what it's supposed to look like. And I know you've coached so many speakers through this. So from your perspective, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you've seen people make as they contemplate the TEDx process?
Wow, so many. The first thing is comparison to other people, right? And doing it for the wrong reasons. I really could have probably a whole podcast about this, but I'll try to keep it condensed for your audience. Comparison to other people, again, I'm not going to do it because this guy already has 13 million views. And what am I actually going to do? Am I actually going to move the needle? Do I have anything to say compared to this person? Comparison is the thief of joy. It's also the thief of confidence. It's not about comparing. It's about showing up as your genuine true self and adding immense value to other people, transforming lives. That's number one. Doing it for the wrong reasons. Doing it just to build your brand, build your business. Yes, of course, it builds your brand, it builds your business. Is that the only reason you should do a TEDx talk? No. If you have nothing genuinely of value to say, don't say it, right? So
Yes.
it's more than just adding to you. It's how you can add to other people. If we only think from a self-centered approach, it's going to stay there. So it's about amplifying and creating change on a really large scale. That's the goal. The goal is not how can I get. It's how can I give, right? Another mistake I think that speakers make is what I call spray and pray. That's my term. I'm going to apply to every event under the sun and ruin my brand reputation in the process. Bad approach. Don't do it. It's much, much better to be highly intentional and thoughtful with your approach. It may take a little bit of time. Anything worth having is worth doing well. Do not spray and pray. Be methodical with your approach. And ultimately, the success of your TEDx talk begins during the application process, not on stage. Huge.
Those were really helpful. And for anyone who wants to go back and re-listen, please do as you're contemplating. Yeah, you can't just, you had me at spray and pray. And the self-centered part is also huge. I do believe that these days everyone is rushing to just put a stamp of being an expert on themselves. And this is not the stage for that. I mean, there are plenty of stages for this, but this process is not for that purpose. Tara, I'll share this moment with our listeners 3 days before my talk. I reached out to you and nerves and all, everything up, and you reminded me to anchor myself deeply in gratitude. that advice shifted so much for me. And I think that we know all of these approaches on a very different level, but truly I felt, and as we're recording this is the following week of actually giving the talk, so my memory is completely refreshed. That one word, gratitude, was so changing for me. Can you expand on why gratitude is such a powerful grounding tool for speakers and how others can use it in high stakes environments?
Gratitude is transformative, right? And we know this because neuroscience has proven this. Gratitude and anxiety and fear, they can't coexist together. And how I think about, an anxious brain. Think about a brain that looks like spaghetti. Looks disorganized, it's not orderly, you can't really see where the beginning is, where the end is, and it just looks messy. Whereas a brain that is focused on gratitude is an orderly brain. So it may look like this, right? Where the thoughts are methodical, everything is flowing, you're in a flow state, it's orderly, you can concentrate, you can also think creatively. Whereas a brain that is very anxious is not that way. You can't think creatively. So gratitude really helps speakers because it helps you think creatively. It helps you get out of that fight or flight zone, right? That survival mentality, and helps you focus on the good. And in the case of TEDx, this is one of the most nerve-wracking experiences of most speakers' careers. There's a lot of psychology that happens when we think about that red circle, right? And it can cause us to have a lot of anxiety. But when you anchor yourself in gratitude, what that does is it allows you to think clearly, it allows for that creative energy flow. And we think about and we reflect not right now in the present moment and all of this stress and all these things I have going on, but we actually think about how far we've come. And if we think about even just last year, this was a goal that I had that I'm now achieving. And gratitude allows that practice of that mental flow to to really come to fruition for people. And it's so important for speakers, so important for anybody really to practice gratitude daily. And another example that I'll share is that, we know that neuroplasticity is a thing, right? So if you're walking down a hiking trail and the first time maybe you've walked down the hiking trail, there's a lot of sticks and stones and rocks and cobwebs that are on that trail because it's not a well-worn trail. But over time, the trail becomes very well-worn and the sticks are gone, the cobwebs are gone, the stones are gone, and you can walk and move about freely. Your brain operates the same way. So maybe when you first start gratitude practices, it's kind of like the first trail. It's, a little rocky. There's things in the way. You're not really sure because it's new. But if you incorporate this into a daily practice for yourself, all of a sudden it becomes your default. And the well-worn trail becomes your gratitude trail. And you can take any situation, flip it on its lid, and find the gratitude in it. I highly recommend it. It's completely transformative. It changed my life, and it certainly will change anyone's life. And the best part, it's free.
What a beautiful and powerful reflection. Thank you. And as I was thinking about gratitude and how you had shared this recommendation, I had tremendous gratitude for, yeah, getting on that stage, coming to that point, coming up with my idea that I deeply and so absolutely, completely, wholeheartedly believe in. I do 100% believe that perfectionism is causing so much struggle for countless humans out there, from our young adults, our children, youth, parents, high achievers, non-high achievers, stay-at-home moms. You name a person and I can show you how perfectionism right now is playing a role in their life. I deeply believed in that purpose, and as well as sharing my own personal story. One of the stories that I share in my talk, I haven't really openly talked about anywhere. And I had to share it in a way that warnings were not needed when it would air, but those are really private moments, but I do think that those moments need to be heard. And so gratitude was really powerful for having the courage to even come to that point where I could actually stand up in front of so many humans that were there that I knew that I didn't know, and the many that are going to be watching this online later and actually say those words. So I really am thankful. I am grateful for you pointing out gratitude to me. And as we kind of move forward, when I've gone through this journey, I know that it's transformational. I'm not the person I was when I even started with the spark. I would love for our listeners to walk away with something more tangible as well. What are your key take-home points for anyone who is dreaming for standing on the TEDx stage?
Say TEDx is very different than a keynote presentation. It's not the same thing. So the first step is to really understand what is TEDx, because when we think about TEDx, we think about it as a goal, but we don't necessarily understand what it is or how it's differentiated from other stages. With TEDx, it's all about the brand of the idea. That's their brand. That's what TEDx is all about. They don't care if you're a professional speaker. They don't care if you're famous. They don't care about any of these things. What they care about is that idea. So the first step I would recommend to anybody listening to this that is a goal for them is to get really clear on what is my idea. And then get granular with it. I encourage you to start going on YouTube, looking up TEDx talks that are similar to the idea that you're thinking of in your head right now, and seeing how yours, not comparing, but seeing how yours is different than what they're saying. That gives you an idea if your idea is original enough. That helps you position it so that when you apply to events, you're sure that you will be admitted. You're sure that you'll be accepted. Ultimately, what the event organizers are looking for is an original idea that's well positioned, that you have authority backing you, right? That you have subject matter expertise that is the foundation of that idea. That's what they're looking for. So if you have that, and it's really simple searching, just go on YouTube, type in some keywords, and you'll find it. And then just start reading and researching and figuring out, again, how is mine different? Genuinely speaking, it's probably your lived experience, as we were speaking about in the beginning. Your story. How does your story, your lived experience, right, make this a unique article? Now we are starting to get ready to apply. And this is why you don't spray and pray, but why you apply with much intention.
Thank you for sharing that, Tara. And for those who are ready to take that next step, because I know there are many amazing individuals that have reached out to me as well. How can my audience connect with you and learn more about your impactful work, your books, just getting to know more about you?
Absolutely. So you can visit my website, TaraLaFonGooch.com. It's exactly how it sounds, TaraLaFonGooch.com. My company's website is bestbranding.solutions. I'm also on pretty much every social media platform. I'm on LinkedIn a lot, probably way too much. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube. Very easy to find me because I think I'm the only Tara LaFon Gooch in the world, which is great for SEO.
Wonderful. Tara, thank you for not only joining me today, but for being such a guiding presence in my own TEDx journey. To our listeners, what you heard today is that bringing an idea to the red dot is not about being someone famous or fitting into someone else's mold. It's about courageously owning your story and anchoring yourself in gratitude and purpose. That lesson resonates far beyond the TEDx stage, whether you're pitching an idea at work, leading a team, or simply trying to show up more fully in your life. The same tools apply: clarity, confidence, and self-compassion. I will quote Brené Brown, because we've talked about her quite a bit today. One day, you will tell your story of how you overcame what you went through, and it will be someone else's survival guide. As many of you know, my own talk on perfectionism came from years of walking alongside high achievers, physicians, entrepreneurs, leaders who silently carried self-doubt while performing at extraordinary levels. My mission is to help people like you redefine success in a way that honors both your ambition and your well-being. So if today's episode stirred something in you, if you have a story, a message, or even just a whisper of an idea that you would want the world to know, consider this your nudge, because your voice matters. Thank you so much for listening. And if you're ready to take that next step in your own journey, whether that's overcoming perfectionism, stepping into thought leadership, or simply building confidence in the life that you're living, you'll find a way to connect with me and you'll find a way to connect with Tara. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. Just a quick reminder, while I am a physician, I'm not your physician, and nothing in this podcast is medical advice or any kind of professional advice. Everything shared here is based on my personal experiences, and the views expressed are entirely my own. If you enjoyed today's episode, I would love for you to rate, review, subscribe, and share the show with anyone who might need a little inspiration to redefine their own version of success. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep reimagining success one small step at a time.